Hey everybody, thanks for taking a couple minutes to check out my channel. If you enjoy this video, if it's even remotely helpful, if you could take a second to give it a thumbs up or a comment, that'd be awesome. Somebody asked me to do a video to show how I can venison, so here it goes. I'm going to just basically talk about two things. One, the disadvantages of canning and the advantages of canning quickly, and then we'll get into, I'll show you how I do it then. The disadvantages of canning is, one, you need some extra equipment. You need a pressure cooker, you need the jars and everything and all the lids and all that stuff. I would not recommend canning venison or canning anything without a pressure cooker, really. The other disadvantage is it takes a lot of work, I guess. Not a lot of work, it just takes more work than just throwing it in a baggie or wrapping it up and throwing it in the freezer and you're done with it. I mean, you got to cube the meat up and all that stuff and get it ready and do the pressure cooking. But the advantages to canning venison far outweigh the disadvantages, in my opinion. First, for me, it's just satisfaction knowing I can do it. It's like old time stuff, old school, and I just get satisfaction hearing them lids pop shut. And knowing, another advantage, that stuff is going to last for years if you need it. It'll outlast frozen venison. It'll outlast about any other type of way to preserve it if you do everything properly. Another advantage is the flavor of the venison and the tenderness of it. You can actually add flavorings. We usually add bouillon cubes or beef bouillon. We tried to add some garlic cloves this time. I'll show you that. You can add whatever you want to it. I just talked to somebody who said that they add Italian dressing to it, and I didn't try it this time, but if I get another deer, I might try that next time. The meat is tender. You don't have to thaw it. You don't have to worry about the power going out. The power goes out in your freezer sitting there for a couple of days. That meat could all go bad. The stuff in the jars, it's not going bad. If you do it right and you season it right, it probably won't last a couple of years if you enjoy eating venison, because it's really awesome. You can make gravies out of it. I just throw it in a pan, fry it up with onions and garlic and stuff. You can do whatever you want with it, but long story short, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Okay, so here is my pressure cooker I got. They make all different sizes. My sister has one, I think, about twice this size. This is a 16-quart pressure cooker. I can't remember what it cost, maybe $80 or something, but this is like a one-time buy. It'll do 12 half pints, 10 pints, or 7 quarts. I mostly do pints. Okay, so here's some packed up jars. I already have some in the canner. I'm going to do 2 batches this time. This one, we got it marked. It has C. That means there's a bouillon cube in here. I pretty much just pack the meat in. If it's raw meat, I don't add any water. I pack it in as tight as I can. I leave about, from the top of the jar down here, about 1 inch. I mean, there's some spaces in there, but once this pressure cooks and expands and starts to boil, there'll be a ton of juice in here. I'll show you that when it's done. These ones have some garlic in them. You can see the garlic cloves in there. Just put some garlic cloves in there. I boil these jars for about 10 minutes or so, just to get them as clean as possible. Then when I pack the meat in. My wife, she's gracious enough to help me. I always pack the meat in nice and tight, and then she wipes the top of the jar off and sets a fresh lid on here. I would never use the same lid to recan something in pressure cooking. I would never do that. You can literally put anything you want in here. You can put spices in here. Some of them we have some, what is that stuff called? The beef not beef tallow. I don't know. It's basically a spooned in stuff. It's like a paste, like a beef paste we put in some. I think it's stronger than the bouillon cubes. And that's, as far as getting the jars ready, that's about it. You don't want to crank these lids too tight. Just put them on there, finger tight. And make sure, the cleaner you are to start with, the more germ-free everything is. I got some meat grinding and packing to do yet later. Here's my first batch of pressure canning right now. It's just starting to boil inside of there. Eventually, this will reach up to 11 pounds of pressure. At 11 pounds of pressure, for half or for pints, it takes 75 minutes at least 11 pounds of pressure. Once that hits 11 pounds, though, this thing, it'll go up and hit 15 pretty quickly. This is a safety thing right here. This will start to rock at 15 pounds, so it won't go over 15 pounds. it won't start building up pressure until this thing actually pops up. It's starting to bubble right now. You can see it, the bubbling coming up here. It'll take longer than you think. If it's bubbling, if you get one of these and you try this and you're like, that thing's never going to come up, just be patient with it. I'm about as impatient as they come with things. Be patient, it'll eventually pop up and the pressure will go up. Once you get the pressure up to 11 pounds, I decrease my temperature. I know where to turn it to about now. I go clear down to about 2 and it maintains the pressure. It takes very little heat. I had someone tell me before you couldn't can, or you shouldn't can on an electric stove, but I do it. So again, when this hits 11 pounds, I'll start a timer, 75 minutes for this size of jar. I think like a half a pint takes an hour, and a quart takes 90 minutes. And then once this gets up to pressure, I'll turn you back on, and I'll show you what comes next after that. I gotta get these other jars sitting in the refrigerator until they're ready for their turn in the pressure canner. All right, the wife gets a glorious job weighing out the hamburger. She loves it. But back to the canning. This thing finally popped up. It took a little while, but now it's up. It's actually past 11 pounds. I've already started the timer. So I'll start turning this heat down. I'll turn that thing right down. It just takes very little heat once that thing is up to pressure. At about 15 pounds, this thing will start rocking so it doesn't explode on you. And then when it gets finished, I will show you what the next step is. It's already starting to bubble underneath here a little bit to let some pressure out. But it'll actually start rocking around. That's not a bad thing if you've never done this before. It's just making sure the thing doesn't explode. Okay, the 75-minute timer's up. Grinding's all done. Got that all cleaned up. Got to put some of it away. The pressure cooker has been removed from the heat. There's no heat, but it's still up at about 13 pounds. I don't know if you can hear, but it's actually still bubbling in there. You have to let this thing go back down to 0 pounds. Don't try to speed this process up. It can actually, I think it can affect the actual canning process. And if you try to pull that off, a lot of steam will come out of there. Trust me, I've tried dumb stuff. Now the whole reason for the pressure cooking, I don't know if I didn't say this before, if you just boil the water and can it without pressure, as the hottest you're going to get something is 212 degrees. It doesn't matter how hard you boil that water. You'll never get it past 212. And there are certain pathogens that can live at 212 degrees. So when you get under pressure, I think you get under 11 pounds of pressure, you can get up to like 240 degrees, another 28 degrees, which kills almost everything. And it also, all the air is expelled and it makes a vacuum seal, and there's no air in there, for no oxygen left for anything to start growing, even if there's something left, which highly unlikely if you do everything correctly and everything was clean to start with. So we'll let this thing go back down to 0, open it up, and I'll pull some jars out and show you. It'll take probably, I'd say 20 minutes for this thing to go back down to 0 at least. So see you in a couple more minutes. Okay, so the little, I don't even know what this thing is called, but it went down, pressure's down to 0. It actually took about 40 minutes. So now I'll slowly take this part off, make sure there's no steam left inside. Little turn here. So I got 8 jars in here this time. I got 7 jars to do next time. This pressure cooker takes 3 quarts of water no matter how many jars you're putting in. Whether you put in 8 jars or 10 jars or 5 jars, you put in 3 quarts of water. And another little tip is to add some vinegar in there. It keeps water stains all over, from getting all over your jars and stuff. I've never done it without vinegar. I don't know how bad it would stain without it, but I really don't want to find out. Pull a jar out of here and show it to you. So you can see it's still boiling in here. There's plenty of liquid in here. That's just my experience. When I put in the raw meat, I don't have to add any liquid when I pack it in nice and tight like that. So it's almost completely full of liquid, just a little bit below the top. eventually these things will start sealing. Here's the other stuff we used other than the bouillon cube, the beef bouillon. This is just like a paste, and it's just a soup base. And it makes a really dark, I don't know if you can tell the difference in the color. This jar is this stuff, and this jar over here is the bouillon cube. It does a really good job for soups and stuff. It's basically just like almost like a dry, hard paste. And that's about it. So these will be good for however long they last, which probably won't be more than a year. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, maybe learned something. If you did, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Until the next one, have a great day, everybody.